I created this life in my head 20 years ago of how I wanted this. So the seeds were planted a long time ago to have the ideal life. So that's what freedom means to me. Freedom means we can do what we want, when we want, how we want, without being accountable to anybody else other than ourselves. And that's just between me and my wife. Because at the end of the day, our time on this planet is very short. So we got to enjoy it with those that we love.
Hey, folks, I am here again, Scale to Freedom, your podcast where it's all about helping you to scale, become free. And I'm here with, mate, he's a good friend. We've never met face to face with this man, but we've seen each other online, and I'm looking forward a little bit later on this year to giving him a big hug and a big cuddle. Johann, welcome to Scale to Freedom, buddy.
Thank you so much, Kel. Dude, we talk so much, it feels like I've known you for years.
Yeah, mate. Well, that's who you are. Yeah, you're just a relational beast, mate. And today's topic, folks, is freedom isn't a feeling, it's a system. And it starts with building relationships supported by the technology and AI. So it's all about relationship. This is your DNA, mate. So tell us a little bit more about Johann and what makes you tick.
Yeah, for sure. Dude, somebody asked me the other day, where did you get this amazing ability to network, put the right people together, and just have these great connections? And I traced it back to the schoolyard. Now, back in the schoolyard, we used to have this big giant square. So when I went to high school, and there'd be all these groups. Everybody would congregate in different groups. There'd be probably about 20 groups, and then there'd be the oval, and there'd be the boys down the back of the oval who were smoking, and all that kind of stuff. But by knowing it's during my lunchtime or recess, we just go hang around with different groups and just listen. And when you listen, you understand, hey, this person's having issues with physics or biology or, martial arts or whatever it is. And then it's like, hey, did you know that that guy over there, his dad's a martial arts teacher and he's a black belt? Really? I'm terrified of doing this. Anyway, so bringing people together. So how does that happen? It's by knowing who's doing what and what their specialities are and which folders in your brain that they go into, because you never know when you can bring the right people to the table and connect them. And so I always talk about every relationship is win-win-win. What's a win-win-win? A win is when you can put two people together and they're both winning, and then you win in the end as well. It's just and it doesn't have to be a monetary gain. It can be just through karma. I believe a lot in karma, and the more you give, the more you get, and it comes back 10 times in return. So it's not about giving to expect anything back at any time. It comes back in many different ways and forms. So business is my world. I love business, but business is all relationships, because without relationships, there's no business. You have transactional relationships. Yes, and you can have different businesses, but again, different ways of having business. There's two different types of businesses. There's transactionals. Let's make some money and just take the money and go do something. Or there's legacy businesses, and that's the ones that I'm interested in building, because business leads to community, leads to relationships, leads to community, and then we just have so much fun. And now with the networks that you and I both have, Kel, we can literally take an idea, launch it, and have it thriving very quickly because of all the partnerships that we have. So we're talking about a lot of different ships here. Relationships, partnerships, etc. So yeah, dude, that's a little bit of a synopsis. Back over to you.
Mate, and it's so true. Like, started as a school child. You are in the school, playing around, and you play this game at I would say, absolute next level. Everybody that knows Johann, anyone who interacts with him, the first thing everybody says is a legend, all right, because he introduced me to somebody else. And that's truly about what is that? Reciprocity. You reap what you sow. And if you stop being, I need to name it maggoty, so if you stop being maggoty and trying to get everybody and hold everybody close to yourself and start going, hey, there's an abundance of opportunity for everybody.
Yep. There's this great book that I read probably back in 1998, so I'm showing my age now, but it's called Unlimited Wealth by Paul Zane Pilsner. And in that book, he talks about how there's literally opportunity everywhere. You take two steps, you see opportunity. And there's so much opportunity in your entire lifetime, you'll never be able to capitalize on it. It becomes more about who do you want to help? How do you want to help them? And the value that you can add. So never have a shortage. So if you have an abundance mindset, you'll never have a shortage of opportunity. And this, forget about the gentleman I'm about to mention his name, but Bill Gates said, you can put me in anywhere on the world in the planet, and I'll be able to regain wealth very quickly because of how my brain works and how I can network. And I went, oh wow, that's an interesting skill. This is when I was 20. I heard that, and I went, wow, that's a great skill. And then after that, I heard Jay Abraham. Jay Abraham was charging $25,000 an hour. Now this is 25 years ago when he was charging 25 grand an hour, and I was on a scholarship at the University of Melbourne making $20,000 a year. And I went, how is my 1 year not even worth 1 hour of this man's genius? And so Jay Abraham's thing was, hey, I can see all the holes in every business and I can tell you how to fix it. And that $25,000 an hour that I charge you, you will make 10 times at a minimum based on my consulting. So I went, okay, cool. He is probably the most valuable business person for anyone to know. How do I become like that? So I started studying Jay Abraham, Dan Kennedy, Chet Holmes, Tony Robbins. So when you start studying all these people, guess what happens? Your brain starts formatting like them, thinking like them, and that's how you start to scale up and achieve freedom. Because freedom is a different definition to them compared to what I used to have in my mind.
Okay, that's a great little segue here. So when we talk about scale of freedom, like I have my intention on what it is. Yeah, everybody's got a different idea what freedom means. What does freedom mean to you?
Great question. Freedom means the ability to do what I want, when I want, how I want, without being not accountable to anyone, but I can just do it when I want to do it. Now, my childhood, we migrated to Australia in 1991, and my parents both had to work super hard. None of my dad's qualifications were recognized, so he had to go and get a job as a cleaner. Like this dude was the head engineer on a ship and commanding a lot of respect. And then to come to a country, it was a recession. He had to start off as a cleaner, worked his way up. He became super successful, and we have a really great relationship. He lives 5 minutes away. So, he sacrificed his youth so that we could have an education, so that we could have freedom. Now, what does freedom mean to me? When I was growing up, dad wasn't around because dad was working. I said, I wanted freedom to be able to be with my kids. My kids are now 10 and 8 for every day of their lives. They have seen us every day. They have spent time with us every day. We walk them to school. We pick them up from school together. They have an amazing family life. They say, hey, how come other families are not like ours? I said, well, it's because I created this life in my head 20 years ago of how I wanted this. So the seeds were planted a long time ago to have the ideal life. So that's what freedom means to me. Freedom means we can do what we want, when we want, how we want, without being accountable to anybody else other than ourselves. And that's just between me and my wife.
Mate, I love it. Like if you go back and have a look at listen to some of the Scale of Freedom podcasts, like what you just said is exactly mine. Do what I want, when I want, how I want, and take my family with me. So that's the core value. That's what you're just saying here. It's what is it that gets you out of bed? What does it motivate you? It's about spending time with those people we love, being in relationship, and being able to do that without boundaries, And so, mate, you went on a bit of a pilgrimage not so long ago. And I want to go there because a lot of us get caught in the standard business trap, and we do things the way in which the world tells us that's how you grow and that's how you make money. But you went on this pilgrimage, big long walk. You went with your dad, and
Yeah.
you come back. I remember when you got back, and you were already on fire, and all of a sudden, mate, you're all ablaze. Tell us a little bit about that pilgrimage and what came out of that.
Yeah, for sure. So COVID happened, and over here in Australia, we had 9 months of lockdown. Now, at this point in time, my company is growing, and my dad comes over. He's like, "Hey, when are you going to take your dog for a walk?" I said, "Oh, hopefully tomorrow." And he goes, that's dog abuse. You have to walk your dog every day. I'm going to take your dog for a walk." I said, "Okay, cool, great." They live 5 minutes away. I was like, "Yeah, please." So every morning at 6 in the morning, he would rock up and he would take the dog for a walk. And one day, we've got a lot of US clients. I do a lot of US hours. One day, I happened to be up at 6 in the morning when he came in, and I said, "Hey, I'm going to come with you." And he's like, "Okay." Now, back to just a little segue. We came here in 91. Dad was working his butt off. I became a teenager, I had friends, went to uni, partied, did that, moved out of home at 18, moved to the city, moved to the country, moved everywhere, got married, moved 5 minutes from the parents. Like that's the so I never got to spend time with dad. Yeah. So now he comes to my house, he's taking the dog back into this story, and I go, I'll come with you. So he's like, cool. And so we started walking, and I'm like, hey, our relationship was very shallow. It was just like, hey, how you doing? Nothing else really, because yeah, we just didn't have that. And so we started walking, and I'm like, hey, how you doing? How's your day? He's like, good. And that was it for 1 hour. Like we didn't know what to talk about. Second day, started talking, extracting information about his childhood, and started learning more about him. The third day, we couldn't stop talking. Now this went on for 9 months, right? Because we had COVID, and we became the best of friends. And then during that time, I said, hey, what's one of the things on your bucket list that you always wanted to do? And he said, I want to do the walk. It's called the Camino de Santiago. It's 800 kilometers, 500 miles for those people. And it takes 41 days walking. And we had a couple of days either side in Paris and in Barcelona, all this stuff. And he said, I've always wanted to do that. I said, cool, done. I'll do it with you. He's like, really? I'm like, yeah. So he starts training. Now he started training every day at the gym for 2 hours to make sure he can walk 800 kilometers. It's a big thing. He's 70 years old. And so we did the walk and we finished that. And now next month, actually, in April, we are going to be doing Japan. So we're going for a walk across Japan for 23 days or whatever it is. And so that's the next one. And the one after that in 2027, we're going to go and do one in India and all this kind of stuff. So we get to have these fun times together because at the end of the day, our time on this planet is very short. So we got to enjoy it with those that we love.
Mate, that is so good, mate. And the reason why you can do that, and a lot of people go, gee, is how do you get that much time off? And I can make one of those tracks you didn't have your mobile phone. You just, he John, you would have been totally out of service for a long time. So
100%.
you've got a business now that is really growing. It's perpetual, and it's a technology business, and a lot of it's around AI. And so people are now in this space of, well, hang on a second. You talk about relationship here, but you're in a business of AI and technology. Tell us how that actually fits together. Like when you say so much about relationship.
Yeah, for sure. So, in fact, the technology that we have is a relationship building technology, funnily enough. And you tell it, hey, I'm looking for all the CEOs. I'll give you an example. Any city that I'm going to, I'll go in there and I'll find all the CEOs in that city and say, hey, I'm coming there for, I'm going to be there for 2 days. Do you want to catch up for lunch or dinner? And then I build more relationships and more networks. Our software does that. Essentially, it finds the right person. You tell it exactly who you're looking for. It finds them, talks to them, books them into your calendar, and then you do the relationships and you do the deals, etc. So it's a SaaS. It's a software as a service. We have a lot of resellers. We used to be called White Label Suite. We are now called AXUP. AXUP stands for AI Powered Up. So that's what the company is. It gets you AI powered up. Everything is about AI right now. AI is changing the world. So how can we leverage AI to work for us 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, that's what the AI does now. It's working for us all the time. When the internet came out and we started getting email and we got all this cool technology was meant to free us up, but it never did. It made us more busy and it made us more connected. And then we were expected to, hey, Kel, you sent me an email. And you're like, Johann, I sent you an email 10 minutes ago. Why have you not replied? Not that you do that, but I'm just saying people expect replies straight away. I sent you an email, whereas before it was, hey, I sent you a letter. Why haven't you replied? It's been 2 months. All right, cool. So anyway, so technology made us more connected, and more connected meant more stress because there was more expectations on us. But now we have the AI doing 90% of the heavy lifting in the company. So I'll give you a couple of examples. In our company, 90% of our questions from our clients gets taken care of by the AI. During Christmas, I messaged my own support team and I said, hey, I've got this problem. This is what I'm trying to do. Can someone fix this for me? And I get this beautiful email come back and I'm sitting down with my business partner, Walt, and I'm like, dude, whoever wrote this, I'm just letting you know, I'm giving them a bonus. This is epic. And he goes, you can, but it's the AI. I don't think it appreciates the money. Okay, cool. So the AI had articulated it so well. So yeah, so the prospecting is easy with AI. The support is easy with the AI. The operations, the normal communications, everything is done with AI and will be in the next It'll become normal for all of us to be using that. Right now, there's 0.03% of the planet that's using it properly. There's people who dabble. The other day I was sitting down at a table. It was the Bank of Singapore had a invite-only dinner. Anyway, they invited us. There was 12 people. They booked out the entire restaurant, and there's 12 people in the restaurant, private dinner. Anyway, I found out later on it was a 5,000 per head dinner. Wow, cool. Thank you, Bank of Singapore, for getting us there. Anyway, so I'm sitting down at the table with these people who, at a minimum, they have a net worth of $15 million to be at that table. And I'm talking to them, and they're like, "Oh, this one guy, Cal, you'll appreciate this. He bought Pentridge Prison in Melbourne so he could store his wine." It's wow. Another guy, he's got 9 Ferraris, and he imports sake and does distribution to all the restaurants and all this stuff. I'm not telling you this as a brag. I'm telling you this as these are the people who have these businesses. And then when I started talking about AI, what they said was, "Oh, I used ChatGPT once. It was really good." These are the people who are the ultra wealthy, who have no idea about AI and at the level that you and I do and what it can do. You know what I'm talking about? And so, anyway, I feel like I've gone off tangent a little bit, but we have the knowledge, we have the power, we have the ability to build these systems that are going to be implemented into every business in the future. And so we are so lucky to be alive right now.
Yeah. Look, it's not a tangent, because what you're explaining is, how do you use technology as a tool that it was originally designed to do, to actually give us freedom, to actually free us up, to make things easier that become a burden on most people. And if what I'm hearing is you've positioned yourself to say, let's get back to the real McCoy. Let's get back to what technology was originally built for, to make it easier on life, not to add stress, and that will create freedom. Is that what I'm hearing?
Love it. You nailed it. You summarized it. That's amazing. I got to take you with me everywhere.
Mate, I'll be happy to take your bags into a 5,000 eat restaurant and sit there and eat sushi, and that is awesome. Folks, what you're hearing here from this man is absolutely pure gold. So many of us get bogged down in that technology stress, and we're worried about, is technology going to take over the world? All right. That's probably where people are thinking about it. So they get avoidance, or they take it on too much and they lose the relationship. So what's your thinking around that? I really relate to that walking around, like the time that you spent with your dad, just walking around a block with your dog, and how fast that relationship grew. And it's the same thing we really need to think about in our own business, isn't it?
100%. Now, with businesses, with this, we've got a very short period of time. So I cannot stress this enough. The time that you have to optimize and to leverage and to capitalize on the opportunity that we have right now never is going to come back again. It gives you the chance to build generational wealth in the next 4 years. I believe that this has gone in 4 years. Why? Because AI is moving so rapidly. Right now, in Australia, there's 3 million businesses who are trying to catch up. That's the total addressable market over here. Over in America, it is more than 30, 40, 50 million businesses that need help. The window's closing because as things get better, and we're now seeing the rise of one-person companies. OpenClaw was the first example. The first one-person billion-dollar company was achieved. And so our world's going to change. But now it's not going to be about having many, many people employed in your company. The AIs, you train them up and they can do the jobs of what all those people did. In my company, I came back from my holiday in December, and I see we use ClickUp, 5 new employees. So I messaged GM and I'm like, "Hey, dude, I didn't authorize 5 new people." He's like, "It's okay. Trust me, we need them. They're key to our growth in 2026. Just have a chat. Tell me what you think. If you don't like anyone, I'll get rid of them." I went, "Okay, cool. All right." So I'm there. I'm like, "Hello, how you doing?" Talking to them, and they're asking them their skill sets and what can they do, and then telling them ideas that I have for different campaigns, and they've come back and they're like, "Oh, this is great. Let's do this. And based on the results that we got for that campaign, I think we should do this." And I'm sitting there brainstorming this thing for half an hour. Then I went, "Hang on a second. hey, something twigged, and I messaged him. I'm like, wait a minute, am I talking to AI? Are these real people? And he's like, dude, they're 5 super agents that I built over the holidays, and I just wanted you to play. And I went, wow. I'm sitting here talking to these things which are all plugged into our existing systems, so they can deploy it. So I can now have an idea, articulate it, and then they can deploy it. And it's removed about 4 levels of barriers that we usually used to have. It's incredible. So that's what I'm saying. Right now, capitalize on tech, learn the possibilities, capitalize on it, leverage it into your business, or if you're an agency, put it into other people's businesses. They're very happy to pay you handsomely. And yeah, this is your time.
Okay. Mate, you have just opened up a bit of a can of worms. So I'm sure a lot of listeners are thinking about it. It's in their head. And I'm going to just ask you the question. Mate, if we're creating AI employees, we're creating AI and we get AI to do all this stuff, what happens to the people that you used to employ? Where are the people coming into our world? Where's the career opportunities for them to start thinking about now so they stay employed and have something long term?
Anybody who gives you an answer to this is full of BS. There is no answer to this. The reason is I was doing a presentation to a group of CEOs. Each of these have over 500 employees at a minimum. And I'm giving them a presentation from the perspective of optimization, cost efficiency. Guys, you can remove 20 people from this department and replace them with one agent. And one of the CEOs started crying. And I'm like, oh shit, I've hit it. What happened? Like the whole mood of the room just drops. And I'm like, dude, what happened? And he's like, I built my company, my success. Everything I have is because of the 800 people I employ. And here you are telling me that they're going to be replaced by robots. Like he's in construction, right? He goes, you're telling me that you build this AI and I will remotely be able to tell 5 robots to go and build a roundabout. I go, yeah, it's 100% that's what's happening. He goes, what happens to the 50 people that it used to take to build that? So I said, I don't have the answer. The reason I don't have the answer is because previously when we had technology, let's just use hunter-gatherers, right? When we were all hunter-gatherers, we would hunt together, and then one guy invented a spear, and then with that one spear, he was able to take down a boar or an animal. And so he did, with that one spear, he did the job of 20 people. So what did those 20 other people do? They went out and they started gathering berries and vegetables and farming and whatever. Like they had another thing to do. In the world that's coming, I do not know what the other people are going to do other than entertain themselves, because they will have endless amounts of entertainment. So what happens to human purpose? I don't know, because without, yes, you can entertain yourself for, as you know, we've all done the binge watching of Netflix, but afterwards what happens? You feel empty because you haven't achieved anything really. And so your human purpose is to achieve things. And so if you can't achieve things, you feel empty. And if you feel empty, then that's a whole different spiral that the human brain goes down. So what happens in the future? I don't think that anyone knows the answer to that, because there are going to be 5, 10 companies that control the entire world with the robots, with the AI, and you're going to have all these humans who are sitting around who were at the top of their game and who don't have a place now. So I'll give you an example. A lawyer, every document, is $20, $30, $50,000 for a document. Now I get AI to write up the document, I send it to him and I go, can you review this? And it's a $3,000 bill. He cannot justify charging me more than that, because he's just reviewed a document that's written by the smartest AI that's been studying all the latest and greatest papers that have come out. And so, yeah, how long can he keep that up for when you've gone from a $50,000 bill to $3,000? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Look, and I think where I see it is I don't have an answer there. I'm not going to try and be a BS here either. But the reality is you can choose to ignore it, all right? And you're going to go, belly up eventually, or you can get involved and work out where your position and purpose is in that future. It's still the same thing which we've always talked about. Each person is going to make a decision whether they're going to resist or get on board. And that's their decision. It's really what it comes down to. You can resist or embrace.
And there's so many people who say, we're not going to use that technology. I said, okay, cool. Let's just picture a front end loader or a tractor. The tractor that one tractor can do that field, that entire field, in one day, which used to take 100 humans to do that. Are you going to employ the tractor or not? And plus, the tractor is now going to be cheaper. It's running at 40 cents an hour, where you're going to pay humans 30, 40, $50 an hour, depending on which country you're in. Are you gonna turn down the 40 cents an hour robot that's fully AI, that's never going to make a mistake? Instead, choose a human.
Yeah. But this is the whole process of society changes. Things change, and whether you're back with a horse and cart or you're running around in the robotic car, all right, things change and people need to adapt. And that's the bottom line with this whole next generation of change. It's fast growing and you just got to get on board.
Yep, 100%.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I feel like I'm a bit of a downer on this topic.
I disagree. I think this is what people need to hear. All right. People need to hear. And what we're hearing here today, folks, is a man with a human heart who loves relationship telling us truthfully where things are going, who still values relationship, but says, hey, don't ignore the inevitable. That's what I'm hearing. And that's what the folks need to hear themselves is sometimes we've got to get confronted with the reality, the brutal facts, I'd call it,
Yep.
and this is not being negative. This is actually being real. And that's what I've always loved about you, Johann. You just tell it as it is. And then you love people anyway. That's just the way it is. Mate, coming up to a bit of a wrap up. So you led up to, you've been through this brand change. You've been, you're a relational beast. You've now got your whole new branding and everything going on. Tell us in that move, all right, what has that done for you personally? I know you're motivated, you always work your tush off, all right, but what has that really meant for you? You've embraced this thing. How does it feel to now really get into that generational space?
Man, it's seeing companies transform, companies that have been stuck, companies that have been they've been plateaued, they're not growing, they don't know how to grow, they've been held hostage by people inside their companies. The boards have all these agendas, and now when you bring in this technology, when you create a smooth customer journey, AI is about the customer journey. That's all it is. It's from the moment they hear about you, from the moment they engage with you, from the moment they email you, call you, whatever it is, and they have a good experience with your company, then the results go through the roof. Right now, too many companies have too many moving parts. And so because of all those moving parts, there's a lot of stuff that falls through the cracks. Now, the best example I can give you is most companies are like a V8 Holden Commodore, let's just say that, or pick any engine that you want. There are a lot of parts in that thing. And if one thing goes wrong, that whole engine is kind of messed up. And you've got to get a specialist to come in and fix it and tweak it. But the point is, there's a lot of parts. Then Musk comes out. And in his Tesla, there's 17 parts. And in 2 minutes, they can diagnose which part is wrong. And they clip in, clip out. They're like, oh, this part's broken. Let's plug that out, plug that back in. That's what AI is doing to companies. It's systemizing the companies. It's making it streamlined. You can easily see the entire 17 parts of the company, and then you know exactly what needs to work on. So that's what it's done for us. It's gone, hey, businesses used to be this big, giant, complex machine, and it would take days, if not weeks, to actually, if depending on the size of the organization, to go in there and find out exactly what's wrong, which part, and let's fix it. Whereas with the AI, you literally have a dashboard and you see all the metrics, and in a second, you'll be able to be like, hey, what's going on here? How come we've got 100 people inquire, and at the end of it, there's only 2 people sold? What was wrong with that? There's something definitely wrong with this. 100 inquiries, 2 sales. Dude, we got 98% leakage. What's missing? Let's fix those pieces.
Yeah, you got the systems in place. Johann, this has been friggin' awesome, as usual. And we're going to be able to drop in the contacts. Just what's the best way for people to be able to contact you, find out a little bit more about what you're doing?
Yeah, sure. So just Johann at aixup.ai. That's my email. Hit me up there. Or find me on social media, Facebook and Instagram, and then LinkedIn.
Yeah, mate. Folks, connect up with this man. He will connect you up with the world, I am sure. And we'll drop all the links and everything into the different chats and comments and everything that's in here for Scale to Freedom. Johann, been a pleasure, mate. Really loved our time together.
Thank you, Kel. You're amazing. What a gracious host. I love the way you summarize all my ramblings. And thank you. Thank you for being a great friend.
Mate, likewise, my buddy. Folks, end of another awesome episode, Scale to Freedom, where we are here to help you become free and whatever that means to you. Until next time, please make sure you like and share, particularly this episode. Share the freedom, share the friendships and the relationships of Johann. Until next time, we'll see you soon.